And a good morning to you. Welcome inside the Bottom Line. Happy Wednesday. It's hump day. We make it to 12 o'clock. We're on the backside of the first week of August where it's 1,000,000 degrees. Yesterday wasn't too bad.
No, it wasn't.
But don't get used to it. We still got a lot of 90 degrees to go. And we passed in July, we passed the average number of 90 degrees in days in a summer. I want to say the average is about 44. We done wiped that out. We got
about
another
every day in
month
July was like that, right?
Yeah, and then we've got we'll run some 90s into September as well.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah.
Early September, absolutely.
Sounding better this morning.
Feeling a lot better.
Good.
Still got a little bit of a head cold, but it's in my.
I do too.
It's still stuck in my chest, but I don't have. I guess I don't have the headache, don't have a fever, that kind of thing. So,
I never did have the fever, just the constant congestion. But I have allergies so bad now. And Miss Kay had sent me a message this morning and said her allergies were flaring up again, and mine are. And I've told this many times. Growing up, I didn't have allergies. I worked in the hay fields and worked in the barn. None of that stuff bothered me. And, gosh, I thought you were supposed to grow out of allergies, and I grew into allergies.
Yeah, you know, our immune systems just change the older we get.
Mm-hmm. And now I thought it's supposed to go the other way, but it is what it is.
I tell you what, though, my recommendation – Jack's Tennessee Honey.
Jack's Tennessee Honey.
With
I
some
think
lemon.
I think that'd fix anything anytime.
Some ginger, green tea, mix it all together. Throw it in the microwave, make it a little warm. Went down smooth as silk.
Wow. Let me tell you about a new place that I discovered. It's new here to Maiden. I went up there last night. And
you becoming a foodie. I know that.
I am. I can't eat much, but I still I love watching Guy Fieri and the places he goes and the things they create and stuff. Went up to Vintage 28, the new wine bar up here in Maiden. Great place. You need to go up there. Great folks. Had a nice cold peach cider that was on tap. They got all types of things, but they're bringing in food trucks, trying to bring food trucks in every day. And yesterday was a food truck called Chop Chop Red Pot, okay? It's stuff you see on Guy Fieri. This was they had these smoked chicken egg roll things with their special sauce. Phenom. I mean, I ordered something else I'll tell you about in a minute, but they brought some of those, wanted me to try them, brought me some potato salad and some macaroni salad. I was sitting in there having my cider. And they have these fried potato wedges, and they put their special Chop Red Pot sauce. It's like got a little kick, little bite to it. Really, really nice. And then I had only in Maiden, the smoked pork bellies, okay, on a bed of collards. And I'm not a green and collard eater, okay. But the sauce that they put on those didn't need any vinegar, had a little bite to it. The pork bellies were smoked and then flash fried and then drizzled with their sauce. Excellent meal. Excellent meal. Now, pork bellies are a little on the fatty side, but they were still very, very good. But they had pulled pork barbecue. They had smoked chicken, pulled smoked chicken, just a lot of great food, and they're going to try to be there every week. Cranky Crab's going to be there Thursday night. There is I think it's called Fat Guy in a Pie. He's got New York-style pizza. I think he's coming Friday. And then Saturday is a smokehouse barbecue guy that's coming. And I've got to where I really like the food trucks because those folks can create – they don't have to have a full menu and a full kitchen, but they've got their specialties that they do, and they swap them up. There's a guy, his wagon's still across the street. Keever says he's got some of the best cheeseburgers and hot dogs you'll eat right across from us over there beside the Maiden Massage School.
So where are these food trucks coming from? Some of those names that you mentioned, were they from this area?
Well, Cranky Crab, she's from Ford.
Yes.
The one last night – he worked with another company out of Charlotte for a long time. Then he went on his own. I want to say he's kind of out of the Newton or Denver area, if I'm not mistaken. He's pretty new, but the food was excellent. I mean, honestly, when you see it with the presentation and all the things that go along with it, it was really nice, and the food was good. The food was really good.
And that's the kicker. You can do the presentation and everything like that, but again, the bottom line, if the food doesn't.
And my wife snarled her nose.
Turned her nose up?
The whole time. She's not eating stuff like that. No. I was solo. I mean, she's been sick, but I was solo in her. She's not going to eat that kind of stuff. So I brought it home, and I said, well, at least try the potato salad and the macaroni salad, which I thought was really, really good. And she did just a little bit, and she looked at the pork belly thing with the greens, and I said, I'm going down to your mama's and take her some of this. She'll enjoy this. And she did. She took a little sample of everything that I had, really enjoyed it. She wasn't crazy about the pork belly because it's fatty, but it's one of those things that a lot of people do eat, and it was done. I mean, it was so tender, and it was really, really good. Really, really good.
So they where they put the food trucks out back behind this?
They're right there on the street, right in front of the wine shop.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And so they do that, and then if you want to go in and have an adult beverage, you go inside
and you
there.
can take your food in there if you'd like. Yeah, and that's what a lot of places. Brick Tree Tavern in Lincoln, Untapped Territories in Lincoln. I know the Crab goes there, and there's a lot of food trucks. I've seen a Caribbean food truck down there. I've seen a Chinese food truck down there. Different varieties. But check out Vintage 28. It's really good. They're
and what is the name originated from? Why Vintage 28?
Their dad. I have to read it to you because their dad was a collector, and it's a brother and sister and their mom. And we were talking, and they're from Maiden. They're younger than I am. And I asked her, I said, well, where do you live, Maiden? And she lives the third house below us, and that's where she grew up. And so they just it is a great story. There was a story. It's Vintage 28 Tap and Wine, and if you want to look it up, you can go into the Hickory Daily Record. They did a story about them
recently. Okay.
And they also do some live music. And tonight they've got a wine tasting Wednesday. Okay, $10 a person. You try 4 different wines, and they also have one of those, and I cannot pronounce the word, chartreuse boards.
Yeah.
It's got
the
meat and cheese things. Yep, they've got that tonight. So and last night the menu, here you go, a bacon jam pimento cheeseburger.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't do pimento cheese.
Love pimento cheese.
Oh boy.
Short rib grilled cheese with pickled red onions. There were red onions on the pork bellies last night. They had smoked pork belly over collards, which is what I had. They had pulled pork sandwich. They had pulled chicken sandwich. This was the stuffed poblano egg rolls, pulled chicken, roasted poblano, cream cheese, and cheddar cheese, and it was awesome. They also do the fried Brussels sprouts.
Oh, I love those.
If you've ever, Hickory Tavern does a really good job with those. They've got really good ones, little sweet. I love the fried Brussels sprouts.
Yeah, there are a couple of restaurants around here that do that, and you put the honey on it as well. Oh, boy.
Yeah. So look them up, Vintage 28 Tap and Wine. I think they're going to do some things with us, and that's just a great place to go, and it's nice to go up there and just have a cold one.
Yeah.
And as I said,
how many different taps did you have a chance to look and see? I mean,
10 or 12 taps. A lot of wine, more into the wine. Their taps are going to be craft beers.
Yeah.
I just kind of hung up on the ciders. I like the ciders. Especially if it's on tap in a cold glass. I'm all about that. So thank you, Lindsay. Charcuterie. Charcuterie. There you go. Thank you. Good morning, Joe Grimes. Peach cider. It was very, very nice. Adam Chase says Snacklebox. That must be another food truck. Is that another food truck, Adam? Snacklebox?
That might be.
I could do. I'm pretty sure I could get to the point that I could do a food show. That I could.
I mean, you just did 15 minutes right now, right?
And I like it. And
there's a guy that you see him online on Facebook is called the Hickory Foodie. think it's a Hickory Foodie.
Okay.
He does the same thing. He goes to Asheville and McDowell and Marion, Morganton, and goes to a lot of the, little small places, the mom and pop places, and does burgers and things like that. I'll have to turn you on to him. But, yeah, he does something that basically you just did in the last 15 minutes.
Michelle was telling me, Cranky Crab, she grew up with Charlie Lloyd's son. You remember Charlie Lloyd?
Do.
Okay.
Football coach?
Yep. I think his name's Josh, and he has a production company in Black Mountain that does podcasts and stuff. And she actually did a podcast with him about the Cranky Crab and her business and that kind of thing. And I thought that was a neat connection. I guess that was when Charlie was at Ford, wasn't he? At Ford.
He was at Ford for a long time, but before that, he was at Newton Conover. He was assistant coach.
And he was at East Lincoln
years.
at one time.
Oh yeah. I first remember him when he was, I think, the defensive coordinator at Newton Conover when Don Patrick was there.
Bob Duckworth, Carolina foodie. I'm getting ready to ask you a Hickory High School question here, Bob. Me and Keever were Googling yesterday. Lindsay said the charcuterie is adult Lunchables, snackle box. That's what Adam was talking about, a snackle box. But anyway, I like doing the human interest stuff. I've always said that. I don't want to talk about stats and stuff here. I want to talk about issues. I want to talk about people, that kind of thing. We had Jeff Taylor come in one time. We talked a little history.
Yeah, civics.
I had Ron Smith that did the Carolina basketball book. I had him on. So I may start doing some of that. Yeah, sports and food podcast. You got it, Richie. That's what I'm going to do.
Why not?
I think that's another avenue that I can do. I may have to dress up the studio here a little bit anyway. Lindsay said we have food halls for days down in the Raleigh area. She said, come spend this weekend and we'll visit them and take Kim Jones to the movies. I don't do movies. We've had this conversation. Richie said, ready to get back to eating some pimento cheese. We are on an 8-week meal plan that cuts out dairy, carbs, and sugars. There is no future in that, Richie. I'll go ahead and tell you. You can do that if you want to. All right, before I go to break, Bob Duckworth, and you may know this, Juju. Keever and I were doing some research last night. He came in here, and we were just shooting the breeze, and he said Maiden was the last new high school in Catawba County.
Yeah.
And then what was the high school? The next one would have been Hickory High School in 72.
Well, do you consider the Magnet High School in Hickory as a traditional high school? You're talking about public?
Yeah, just regular public high schools. And Keever had no idea where the old Hickory High School was. And I said, that's the Arts and Science Museum when you go up 127.
Claremont.
So my question, Bob Duckworth, when was that Hickory High School built?
When was Claremont? They call it Claremont.
Is that what it was? Okay.
Yeah, Claremont. It was Hickory High, but it's in the Claremont Historical District there.
When was that one bought? Or when was that one built? And then we were looking up. Keever said, and I don't want to poke a nerve here because I don't know. Why did Maiden get a new high school when it was built in 53, the same year that Bandy's was? The only thing I could come up with is Maiden didn't have a middle school. They had already built Mill Creek. Is that Bandy's?
Yeah, it is Bandy's.
So they needed 1925. Thank you, Bob.
They had Tuttle.
Yeah, but that was not.
That was more of a combination of Bandy's and Maiden.
It was, yeah. And that was part of the reason. Steve Lowe, good morning.
But once Mill Creek was built, Tuttle became the only school for Maiden. It was the feeder school.
Mm-hmm. Bob said he was the last class of 1972.
I was going to say 72. Honest to God, I was going to say early 70s.
Fall of 72 is when the new one came online. The new Lincoln High School came online in 74 or 75, somewhere in that range. And then the new Maiden High School came online in 06, and I'm assuming North Lincoln came online 02, 03 because they built it and Maiden kind of patterned after that one.
And you know the geography of
Mikey.
The part of Catawba County that's close to Lincoln County down near the lake. And I have a couple of people, acquaintances that I know that are in real estate. And they say if and when Catawba County does expand and get another high school, that is where it's going to go.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And Lincoln County's probably going to have to do the same eventually because of the growth, just because of the booming growth.
There are a couple of charter schools down there, and unless Catawba County wants to go the way of a charter school in that part of the world, I would see the next high school that goes up will be in that particular area.
Let me give Mikey a quick plug here before we go. Mikey's down at Double Time Shine right here in Maiden. It's a stoplight where 321 breaks off right there beside of Three Hermanos. And Mikey does a great job on cleaning up cars. And David Keever, who had asked me, said, where did you tell me you got your car cleaned up? And I told him what it cost. And he went down there, and that was part of the reason he came to see me yesterday. He said, I want you to see what they did. I said, Keever, I know what they do. I let them do my cars all the time. And he was talking about what a great job you did, Mikey, so I appreciate that. I really do. Lindsay said Maiden's getting a new $23 million elementary school where everyone is born on their birthday and eats lunch in the cafeteria. There's an inside joke to that. I'll tell you later. And they are, and it's going to be down there where the track is now towards the rec. They're going to build a brand-new school in there, and then eventually the old school will be a bus parking lot and the new track or the new play area where the old school is now.
The old Maiden Elementary.
But they'll be able to build that and then get rid of that one. You're welcome, Mikey. Okay.
So they're foreseeing, the people that do this kind of stuff, they're foreseeing that somewhat of an explosion in population in this area.
But they're just like everything else, especially when you talk about roads. Once they decide to build it and get it built, it's too small. I'll never forget additions to schools made in Lincoln County, okay? And as soon as they got it built, they still had to bring in trailers because there wasn't enough rooms. Let me take a break. Back in a moment. I promise we'll get to sports. I want to talk about Kyler Murray. I want to talk about Duke player, NBA, 1 year. Zion Williamson. Got some thoughts on those two. Hang on.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with Auto Owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver or visit MooneyInsurance.com.
Times convenience stores are more than convenient. They're your neighborhood store, your store. With locations in Lincoln, Catawba, Gaston, Iredell, and Mecklenburg counties, there's one near you. Times convenience stores have the right items at the right price, from snacks, cold drinks, and light meals from the grill, and there's always a special to save you time and money. Times has what you need. Times convenience stores, there's one near you. Regardless of where you're going, there's one on your way. Remember, there's always time to stop by Times. Have you thought about when you would like to retire? One of your major assets is planning for retirement is time, and you lose a little of it each day. The longer you wait to start accumulating capital for retirement, the harder it's going to be. How should you plan for retirement? Start by calculating approximately how much capital you will need at retirement, then estimate how much you will have to put away each year. Finally, carefully choose the investments in which you will invest. Stifel Nicholas can assist you. Call Ford Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stifel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange. First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
In the best of times, no one is more deserving of every opportunity, encouragement, and support than the youth in our communities. Parents, teachers, coaches, and sponsors struggle to stretch their budgets to continue help. Communities need a team effort. Times Oil Corporation, a longtime member of the community, established the Times Educational Alliance Mission, or Team Foundation. Since 2011, over $125,000 in grants have been donated in the community. Times Oil and the Team Foundation are proud to be community partners.
And welcome back. Glad to have you here this morning. Bill Bender's going to join us in about 5 minutes. He was talking yesterday. He had posted something, and I'm trying to remember about the Soto deal. The Juan Soto deal?
Yeah.
Going to the Padres?
Yeah.
And then the biggest thing is Cowherd was talking about that's not a money team, but is becoming a team that's willing to spend what it takes to be a player, because that's considered a small market team.
Yeah,
smaller ballpark, smaller payroll.
Yeah, they're not smaller payroll now, but they are. San Diego's an interesting thing, and I watched it almost wall to wall yesterday because I've been kind of down with this flu bug or whatever. But San Diego's an interesting media market because that's it. I mean, the baseball team they're the lonely game in town. You know, the Chargers moved out, and they don't have a basketball team or a hockey team, so baseball's it right now. And they're that close to Mexico and the southern border. That is where their new market is. And they were talking about that their TV, cable thing, and their radio, they get into the northern part of Mexico, and they have a lot of Latin American fans. And so they are somewhere like 15 or 16 market-wise in terms of in the country.
Yeah, but it's top 25 or top 20. That's still pretty good.
Yeah.
Charlotte's not even top 20. It's in 23, I think.
I think you're right, 22 or 23.
Morning, Jonathan.
But San Diego, their owners have said, we're going to go in. We're going for it. We've never – now, if they were a team that had been year in and year out contenders, been in the playoffs, had a great reputation, and maybe every once in a while, like the Braves, get into the playoffs and win a World Series. That's one thing. But they've never won a World Series, and they've been around since the late 60s. They've been to a couple of World Series, but so they're going for it. They got their 3 stars. They're all Latin American stars. Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis, and then Juan Soto yesterday. So they're growing their market in that part of Southern California.
Embrace who you are.
Yeah, and they are. And they are a team to be reckoned with, though it'll come due. Baseball is unusual. You cannot keep buying. A lot of teams figure this out. You can't buy your way to championships year in and year out. You have to have some combination of developing players and then going out and signing free agents. I think I read San Diego has, with their team, they looked at their top 25 players on their roster. I think 20 or 22 were all either through trades or signing free agents. They have developed virtually nobody. They develop guys, they trade them off so they can get bigger pieces. And they're hoping it works. And they're still 12 games behind the Dodgers.
Yeah. I saw that, Richie. Vin Scully passed away.
He did last
overnight. Gosh, just another one of those iconic broadcasters.
The voice of baseball. And I saw him from a distance. When I was working at Channel, and I was thinking about this coming in this morning, I saw him at a distance when I worked weekends at Channel 9 back in the mid-'80s, and it was Masters Week. And he was doing the Masters for CBS. And so Channel 9 didn't fly me down, but I went with the helicopter with Brent McMillan and Harold Johnson. We flew down on the helicopter to the Masters for the practice round. And there was Vin. He was at a distance, but he was, I would say, holding court. But he was asking a bunch of questions of players. And I heard coming in this morning that he was a kind of guy that, even preparation-wise, known as a baseball announcer, he would meet and greet the opposing media from the Dodgers' other team, and he would sit down hours before the game would start and say, hey, tell me about this player. Tell me about that player. Give me a story I can tell and weave, because baseball's great for that. Mm-hmm. But he was a guy that when he got older, he did so many things that he devoted it to just covering the Dodgers. He wasn't those kind of guys that just walk in and start broadcasting. He did his homework 4 or 5 hours ahead of time.
Oh, I'm sure. That's the old school in it.
And for a guy that was around in the 50s, he broadcast Dodger games longer, Lanny, and you and I have been on the planet.
Yeah. Just an iconic name and voice.
67 years.
Yeah, iconic name and voice. I don't do that much, Ronnie. Good morning to you. Ronnie said, plug my T-shirt business, because the ones I did for him were exactly what he wanted. I had a guy come in here yesterday when I was here from a church, I think, just from what he had in his hand. He said, can I get like 4, 5, 6 T-shirts? I'm like, sure. Now, you can get one if you want one. The way that I do it is you don't have to buy a bunch. There's no setup. And I can basically make a T-shirt out of anything that you want. I've got one. I'll try to put it up here in the next break that I did. Michael Danner wanted me to make some T-shirts. It's from some photos that kind of got put together by the art teacher at Maiden that have to do with the new stadium and kind of a tribute to Tom. And I'll show you one of those that I did. A lot of folks wanted some of those. I'm not much of a self-promoter. If you notice, I don't even have a commercial running for myself for the T-shirts, but that's okay. I get Bill on here in just a minute, and before I do that, he was at North Fusius, but he is now at Jacobs Fork. Lindsay want to know.
Yes.
Yeah, he moved to Jacobs Fork this year, matter of fact.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Link said he got to meet Vin in 1975 when he was stationed in Southern California. The Dodgers came to opening day of our youth baseball program, and he got to meet Vin Scully. Richie said Braves extended Riley probably for the rest of his career and made some moves to bolster the pitching staff and bullpen. The Braves seem to be coming back a little bit and a little more competitive after last year.
Oh, yeah. I mean, World Series, and now they have a better record than they did last year at this time.
The other thing I was going to mention, and I'll get Bill, you were talking about Vin meeting with the other media members. When I traveled with App, I traveled with him for 2 years. More times than not, the night before the game, we would fly in the day before. Usually we'd leave 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We'd fly to where we were going. We'd go to the stadium. We'd set up all our broadcast stuff that day so that when we came in the next day, everything was ready to go. But usually, more times than not, we would have dinner with the media members from the other team that did their play-by-play and all that kind of stuff, and we would go out to dinner together. And that was a ton of fun. And like you were saying, you got to talk and meet, and you weren't really – it wasn't really working, but it was working, because you was talking to those
And football is, it's a once-a-week type thing.
That's right.
It's a business meeting, basically. But baseball, it's every day in and day out that, one day you go in and you talk to somebody, and then depending how that game went and how players did in that game, then you come back the next day and then try to find another story or another angle or some other type of way that you can present the game in a way, especially for radio. I don't know how many times, Lanny, that you go to bed at night. And I used to do it growing up in an area like western Pennsylvania, that you'd go to bed with your transistor radio right underneath your pillow. My parents used to get mad at me all the time because I'd go to bed with my transistor radio and I'd wake up the next morning and my batteries were dead. And now that was back then where you only get to keep those batteries very long. You didn't have a bunch of batteries sitting around the house, but I'm sure Vince Scully did that for the fans in Los Angeles and before that in Brooklyn, just like they did it for fans where I grew up at and in other parts of the country where this transistor radio, that was your link to your favorite baseball
My
team.
buddy Calvin Hastings, he is a huge St. Louis baseball fan because that's what he listened to growing up.
Yep,
You
Jack
could hear
Buck,
it on the skip.
Harry Carey.
And that's how he was. Let me go to the phones and bring our good friend Bill Bender on. Good morning, Bill.
Hey, good morning. I heard you guys talking about Vin Scully.
Yeah.
That's a rough start to the day when you see something like that.
Yeah. You know, it's sad we're losing so many of them, but if you go back and look at the time that we had them, you know what I'm saying? We were fortunate that we had some of these guys as long as we did.
Yeah, and baseball, you know, it's decreased in popularity over the years from generation to my dad's generation to mine at least. And, you know, but I mean, Vin Scully's one, legendary. I mean, we all have an impersonation. We all listen to him. We all treasured him. I know up where I live in this part of Ohio, Marty Brenneman's kind of that guy.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, he recently retired, and you were mentioning Jack Buck. I mean, there's so many from that generation that are just legendary. I mean, Ernie Harwell's another one that we get talked about. So for Vin Scully, I mean, it's a sad day because he is one of a kind. I think of all those guys, he's generally considered the best one. And some of his calls, it's hard to – I mean, I didn't realize – I really forgot until this morning. I mean, he called Montana to Clark. It wasn't just baseball.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, well, like Juju was talking, he used to do the Masters on CBS. And I don't remember that.
I did back in the 80s.
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, he's that talented. I mean, you know, it's a sad day, and you know, obviously he had so many good calls. I mean, the one that sticks out to me from the baseball side is the Kirk Gibson homer. You know, so you know, you just pray for his family members and just realize that again, yeah, we're losing some of those guys that, I mean, there's not too many of them left that are that legendary class of broadcaster that really brought baseball into your radio and into your living room.
There's one left, probably one contemporary left that's still doing games.
Who's that?
Bob Uecker.
Uecker's still doing games?
He's still doing games for the Brewers.
Vin Scully was 94.
Yeah. Now Uecker's
and
in
he
his
hasn't
upper
been
80s.
out of the booth long, has he?
6, 7, 8 years.
Has it been that
Yeah,
long? Okay.
yeah.
I was thinking like he'd stay. Well, that still puts him close to 90.
Yeah.
Which is pretty impressive. Bill, you tweeted yesterday about the Soto trade. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm a Padres fan, so I'm in a good mood.
Okay.
You know, I grew up. I'm okay with it. No, I grew up a Padres fan. I tell people, well, how in the world did you grow up a Padres fan? You live in Ohio. Well, I was a lefty, and I'm a huge Tony Gwynn fan. I mean, Tony Gwynn's maybe my favorite athlete across any sport. So, super excited about that. I mean, they went all in. I mean, there's a little bit of a danger in it. You've seen this before where teams go all in and it doesn't quite work out the way they want. But, I mean, to bring him in, to bring Josh Bell in, to bring Hader in the bullpen, I mean, it's a sign that the Padres are chasing something they haven't been able to do since 1998, and that's get to the World Series. They've never won one. I know because I watched both, and I cried in '84 because I was a little kid, and '98 I didn't cry so much because I was in college. So, and they ran into the best Yankees team, as I like to remind my friends.
Hey, Bill, San Diego did this, 5, 6, 7 years ago. They kind of went all in and tried to rebuild and go for it, and it didn't work out. And the general manager then sold off the players and did this again. Is this something that if things don't work out, that they'll, they have Soto for, 2.5 years now? Is it something that you can see them doing the same thing he did 5 or 6 years ago?
Well, I hope not. But, I mean, to have Machado, Tatis, Soto in the same lineup, obviously Musgrove's a really good pitcher. I mean, it's a cool window. And as one of my friends was texting me last night, he's like, he's never understood how San Diego hasn't had a good baseball team. He's like, who wouldn't want to live in San Diego? You've been, if anybody's been out there, it's a beautiful place. The ocean and all the places around there. And, I've been there a couple times. The park is amazing too. So, it's not, how do they not get guys to play there? And that's a good question. So hopefully they get them to stick around and hopefully it works out. I mean, and obviously the big hurdle is, the Braves are going to be good. The Dodgers they've been chasing the Dodgers, and we saw that a couple years in the postseason. they just didn't have enough to beat that Dodgers lineup.
We're talking Bill Bender, Sporting News. You're in Ohio. What's the talk on the Deshaun Watson 6-game suspension? Does the NFL – I'm hearing two sides. I'm hearing sources are saying that Roger Goodell is going to slam the door. He's going to go for the 1 year. And then I'm also hearing that he's probably going to let it go, because if he don't, all of this bargaining and in the contract of saying I'm turning it over to an arbitrator, and the first time you get a case you overrule the arbitrator, that didn't put a whole lot of stock in what you had negotiated. You know, there's a lot of sides. I guess the biggest thing to me is I just want to play football. I'm ready for this to move on. It is what it is. I think they waited too long to do anything. If they were going to do something, they should have got right on it. The NFL is so bad about leaking things out, getting the public perception of it, and then deciding, okay, we're going to do that because that seems to be what the public wants to do. Your take?
And that's kind of what it's kind of what they're doing here, Lanny. Right? Like they get the 6-game suspension. I don't know about you guys, but just kind of seeing the reaction to it, I thought all along 6 to 8 was what it was going to be, and they obviously pushed it out there, and I think the reaction to it was not enough games. And, you know, outside of if you're a Browns fan. And I think he's going to add more games to it. I really do, and I don't know how many it's going to end up being, but maybe it's like 8 to 12 at the end of this. So it's just a weird situation. Like if you're a Cleveland Browns fan, and I obviously know several living up here, it's that line of, you know, trying to be excited about what Watson's going to bring to them from a football standpoint versus, you know, recognizing the kind of grossness of the entire situation. So it is a tough one. And the only one I didn't like, Lanny, is there was a lot of people trying to equate this to what Calvin Ridley did. Calvin Ridley got a suspension for a year, but you can't compare the two. I mean, Calvin Ridley did the one thing you can't do in the league. You ask Pete Rose. You cannot gamble on the league.
Yeah, and I got a hard line on that because the league's in bed with the bookies now, because you're going to start seeing sports books pop up in stadiums, and the league's going to make money off of it. That's a double standard from where I'm from. I mean, I get it. Don't get me wrong. I get it. But, you know, now that it's come in and they've embraced it, it's kind of like the legalization of marijuana in states that's got, you know, franchises in them. How do you how do you do that? How do you put other restrictions? But, you know, the league kind of does what the league wants to do. I'm just a little – I think the league wants more games, but I'm not sure the league wants to continue being dragged through the mud, because this will take forever. And what do you do with him while it's on appeal? Does he play? Do you hold out? I mean, if you're the league, you'd like to have him appeal and let it play out next year when you're taking a bunch of money if you get 8-10 games, because this year he's on a $1 million contract.
Yeah, that was our Carissa Maxwell, one of our social editors, did a fantastic job bringing kind of showing those numbers on TikTok the other day. It was well done. Yeah, I don't know, though. I mean, the gambling thing is, if you're in the league, you can't gamble on a game. I mean, if you're a player in the league, you can't, because it goes to the integrity of the game. And that's, I kind of take a hard line on that. Like, I don't have much sympathy for Calvin Ridley. I just don't. With Watson, it's different, because he's going to do this suspension, and, now people are going to say when that's over, oh, he did his time or this and that, but it's still just a gross story, like all of these things. And I don't know. If Goodell puts more games on it, I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he did that. I'd probably be like, yeah, it's about right.
Yeah. Well, I think the whole thing is, and people were talking about how when she wrote her opinion, and I have not read it. I won't say it's 32 pages or something, but I have not read it. But she keeps talking about precedents. Well, there is no precedent for this. Nobody's ever been accused of this many times. So you really can't say precedent, but she tried to go back and look at similar situations and how the league handled it. And I got to be honest with you, I do want an outside voice to look at this so there's as little prejudice as possible. And the thing that surprised me, Bill, had she came down and said no punishment, there would have been nothing the league could do. The league can only adjust what they hand down, but if they hand down nothing, the league could do nothing. Were you aware of that based on the collective bargaining?
Yep, I knew that, and I know that, when you saw the NFLPA tweeting what they thought before the ruling was handed down, you kind of knew where it was going, that he was at least going to get something. But, I was saying all along, I mean, you don't have the other thing that hasn't happened is the NFL hasn't had a disciplinary hearing and not suspended someone. It's not like, oh, yeah, you're getting nothing. That's never happened. And I think the case that's most like in a lot of ways, and granted it's not the same thing because the number of alleged accusers is the Zeke Elliott one a couple years ago when he got 6 games.
Right.
Or Adrian Peterson when he was suspended for the season. But I believe, I don't want to say, I think Adrian Peterson might have actually been at least charged. Maybe. I'd have to go back and look at that one, but he definitely they handed that one down pretty quick.
Yeah. And the punishment that they gave Robert Kraft. Oh, wait a minute. They didn't punish him. I'm sorry. My bad. Let me switch to college football. AP poll is out. Give me your thoughts.
It is? Did it come out yesterday?
I thought I saw that. Did I miss that? Maybe I misspoke.
Yeah, I think it comes out next week.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I'll go. I mean, it's going to be the usuals, right? It's going to be Ohio State or 2. Alabama will be 1. Ohio State will be 2. Georgia will be 3, and then we probably have like Clemson, Notre Dame 4 and 5, and that makes sense. I mean, those are the 4 programs that are built to win a national championship, and I've argued this with people a little bit and said, okay, if you don't believe me, come up with a better answer. I mean, right now Notre Dame's the 5th best program in the country, and they've won 10 or more games the last 5 years, and they've shown they can beat a Clemson, and they've got a chance to beat Ohio State. But I was like, okay, I've told you the 4 programs, and I'm telling you Notre Dame. If somebody's not better than them, or somebody's better than them, go ahead and tell me. I think the only answer you could come up with maybe LSU, but they're so hot and cold because they'll win a national championship and turn around and go 6-6.
The other thing, and I'll let you go, 2 surprises to me that in this list that I saw, and I wished I could find it because I get these emails all the time, and I guess I just misread it. 2 teams that was in this top 10 that surprised me a little bit. One of them, Southern Cal, based on where they've been, a lot of expectations with Lincoln Riley. The other team was the ACC's NC State, but it all depends on the quarterback play. I thought that was a little high for State, but I guess we'll see.
NC State, somebody everybody loves with the quarterback play. I believe they have 20-plus returning starters. So, I think they're a team that's going to have a lot of that value to them. And I mentioned Utah to you guys a few times.
Yep, that's another one that's up there.
Florida they're a team that I think if they can win that opener against Florida, they're going to be considered a sleeper. So. Or they'll have a really good shot at the playoff. They won't be a sleeper. They'll be right in really good position once they get into Pac-12 play. So, I mean, those are the 2 teams I'm kind of watching that could be those kind of crashers, so to speak.
Yeah. It's right around the corner, my friend. Thanks for taking the time with us this morning. Look forward to checking with you next week.
Hey, anytime. You two be good. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Bill. That's Bill Bender, Sporting News, and he's dead on it there. And I wish I'll have to find the list that I found. A couple comments.
There's so many lists out there with top 20 or top 25 teams.
Bob said Scully was his number 2. Lindsey Nelson was his all-time favorite. And Link had sent me a thing that it was 16 when 2016, I think he said that
he retired.
He retired. Lindsay said it's sad that one thing you can't do has nothing to do with assault or causing harm to others, and the league has no morals. I don't think anybody is surprised by that. That's pretty well standard. The league's about money, and they put things out there to see how the reaction is and how digestible it is to the fans and the people that write them the checks, and then that's kind of how they make their
when
decisions.
the Ray Rice thing came down years ago, I think the NFL got a whole lot of pushback that they didn't do enough. And I think that's one reason why you're going to see this appealed and it's going to go up, is now they're going to say they don't want to be told again or read about it that, hey, they didn't do enough.
But they've got an out. They've got an out. We agreed to an arbitrator. We turned it over to a judge to analyze the facts, and this is the ruling they came with.
And we still
unemotional, and it was a female.
Yeah.
That was another thing that I think, to me, I think kind of helped them get away from some bias.
I mean, she said a lot of things about how twisted, as Bill said.
Yeah, but she was trying to do it based on precedents and other cases, and
all of them got
6
games.
And what she had to work with. All right, I'm going to take the final break. Back in a moment.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with auto owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver or visit MooneyInsurance.com. Times convenience stores are more than convenient. They're your neighborhood store, your store. With locations in Lincoln, Catawba, Gaston, Iredell, and Mecklenburg counties, there's one near you. Times convenience stores have the right items at the right price, from snacks, cold drinks, and light meals from the grill, and there's always a special to save you time and money. Times has what you need. Times convenience stores, there's one near you. Regardless of where you're going, there's one on your way. Remember, there's always time to stop by Times. Have you thought about when you would like to retire? One of your major assets is planning for retirement is time, and you lose a little of it each day. The longer you wait to start accumulating capital for retirement, the harder it's going to be. How should you plan for retirement? Start by calculating approximately how much capital you will need at retirement, then estimate how much you will have to put away each year. Finally, carefully choose the investments in which you will invest. Stifel Nicholas can assist you. Call Fort Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stifel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange. First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
In the best of times, no one is more deserving of every opportunity, encouragement, and support than the youth in our communities. Parents, teachers, coaches, and sponsors struggle to stretch their budgets to continue help. Communities need a team effort. Times Oil Corporation, a longtime member of the community, established the Times Educational Alliance Mission, or Team Foundation. Since 2011, over $125,000 in grants have been donated in the community. Times Oil and the Team Foundation are proud to be community partners.
Yeah, welcome back. Got anything on your magic list? You don't have a magic list.
Don't have a
today.
magic list. I just got some other reminders I got to do as I move from one classroom to the other classroom in school and whatnot. But the thing that came down was the day before with the owner of the Dolphins.
Mm-hmm. Stephen Ross.
Man, think about the fact that, what's worse, Deflategate or even Bob Kraft? This guy we wanted his coaches to throw games so he could hire Sean Payton and bring in Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
So he got fined a bunch and he got suspended. And
then I'm going to ask you, why is he still an owner?
I don't know that. I just know that the punishment's pretty hefty. In their first game, the Dolphins' first game, when the owner is allowed to be back,
it's on October 23rd, I think,
against the Steelers,
and he can't attend any league meetings, and that's the next league meeting is October 23rd.
But they play the Steelers that week, and they play in Miami, and of course the Steelers' defensive coach is Brian Flores, so that's going to be interesting. Coincidence or not? Thoughts on that?
Tampering stuff
is that worse than gambling?
Tampering stuff is very muddy to me.
Yeah, is that worse or not as bad as serious as gambling? Tampering.
Oh, I don't think it's as bad as the gambling. Of course, I don't have a problem with the gambling. That's just me. He
was doing that. Yeah, the Calvin Ridley guy was doing prop bets. It's not like he was trying to throw.
And he wasn't. He was on injured reserve. He wasn't playing.
And, but tampering's pretty serious, I think.
It depends to what degree. Throwing games, yes. But tampering, if I talk to Tom Brady, we'd love to have you come down and play for us sometime. Is that tampering?
No, that's not tampering.
Okay.
Telling your coach we got to lose some games.
I'll ask again. I'm still trying to figure out why he's got a franchise. Yeah, those are the parts
because they haven't been able to find out a guy to replace him, I guess. There aren't guys out there that
they don't.
Tepper.
I've told you this over and over. I'm a guy of consistency. You're picking and choosing which owners. Okay? Why is Snyder still an owner?
Because they can't find somebody else
that's worth that kind of money. Then the league just takes it over.
Maybe they don't want to do that.
So they just let these guys do what they want to.
I don't know that. That's way above my thought process.
Okay.
And maybe they're behind the scenes trying to find an owner for some of these teams.
That's what Joe's doing. Joe's behind the scenes, just in case you're wondering. Lindsay says the league has no morals. The bar will be high for NC State. The excuses will be even higher. Richie said quarterback play is going to have to be huge for State. There's even talks coming out of the Wolfpack camp and ACC pushing Leary as a Heisman candidate. Are you kidding me?
No, he's among the best. He is among the best. The ACC's got the best quarterback candidates in the country. There are more good quarterbacks in the ACC than any other league. I'm convinced of that. And he had a pretty good season last year for NC State. If their defense plays anything like they're capable of, and he has a good year, I think he could. I don't know if he'd be Heisman worthy because there's just not enough.
Mm-hmm.
There's not enough push for that because of what happens at Ohio State and Alabama.
Richie says, I have no problem with gambling on games if you're gambling on your own games, as long as you're not picking your team to lose.
I have an issue. The only part with gambling I have an issue with is college kids doing that, getting on their phones and doing prop bets and stuff like that. And I think that's the next thing that you're going to hear about, in my opinion.
You can't embrace certain things but say you can't do it. Especially you can't develop partnership with things that your employees can't participate in. That's a double standard.
And
that's hypocrisy at its highest.
It does, and it questions your integrity as an organization, as a team, as a league, or whatever you want to call it.
And there's no, as Lindsay said earlier, with no morals, there is no team, franchise, that's going to walk away from any way to make a buck.
No, because that's not
going to happen. And so
that's part of their mission statement.
So how
to make money?
I don't get it. I don't
maximize revenue.
Wesley and I had this long conversation because he wants to book throwing at Deshaun Watson. I told you earlier he told me I pulled the Clemson card on that one, and I didn't. I just want to see, and I know there's no precedent for this. I get that, but you can't just go out of your mind on it. That's the other side.
I think probably fans would have been okay with 6 games had Deshaun Watson not asked for a trade a couple of years ago and taken $20 million last year and not played and got paid not to play. And again, that's not his fault. That's the Texans' fault. But if he would have sat out all last year without making a nickel and then be suspended 6 games this year, okay, I'm okay with that. But, he basically sat out last year and was paid to sit out.
The league should have done something last year.
Bingo. Yep.
That's, give you another example. Can you correct a young child? Can you correct a pet if they do something wrong and you don't address it till tomorrow? No, you can't. When you're correcting young children or you're trying to fix behavior, you're in education, you've got to address it when it happens so there's a relationship. They know what you're talking about.
Maybe the NFL, when you're talking about Deshaun Watson from last year, maybe they thought the Texans were going to do something, and they didn't want to step in. Maybe this whole
can't do that.
Maybe this whole process with having the arbitrator, maybe this all wasn't decided last year.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. You're right, Ronnie. Pete Rose should be in the Hall, and he will be as soon as he passes away. They're never going to let him in the Hall alive. He'll get into the Hall posthumously. That's going to be his punishment, which is wrong. Milton says, wait till a team is sponsored by a marijuana CBD company. How about that? They going to allow that?
That depends on what state it's in, right?
Well, I saw there's a federal push to legalize it. They're trying to get that through. And if the states are already doing it, I don't understand how the states are doing it if feds say it's illegal, and that's where some of the, I guess, conflict is coming from. I don't think states can legalize something that's illegal on the federal level. You can only tighten up what the feds do. I don't think you can go against it, but undoubtedly I'm wrong. That's why I'm not in politics, ladies and gentlemen. If nominated, I will not run. If elected, I will not serve. Yeah.
Thank you, Lyndon B. Johnson.
Yeah. My boss told me, he said, you need to run for Maiden Town Council. I'm like, nah, it's not happening. I did get close. I was in the parking lot at the Board of Elections at 15 to 12 on the last day of filing not long ago. Just couldn't pull that trigger. I have such different views. Of course, I think that's what a lot of places need. They need different views because you kind of get in a rut.
Yeah.
And I said, no, I ain't going to do that. I ain't going to do it. My phone rings enough now without that. Glad you're feeling better, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great to be here.
Back on Friday?
That's the plan.
The plan is on Friday.
Lord willing, creeks don't rise.
There you go. That's my boy right there. That's my northern boy said that. Y'all have a great day. Happy hump day. See you Friday.